I can't believe you're actually doing this. This is MY house. You're throwing me out of MY own home. The scream was shrill enough to make the sparrows scatter from the old oak tree on the lawn. My niece, Chloe, the girl I had raised since she was in diapers, was having a full-blown, foot-stomping meltdown on my perfectly manicured grass. Her face was blotchy and red, phone pressed so hard against her ear I was surprised the screen didn't crack. Through the phone, I could hear the tinny, equally hysterical screeching of her mother, my sister, Karen. A dynamic duo of delusion. The locksmith, a burly guy named Dave who had seen way too much, just paused with the drill in his hand and gave me a look. It was a mixture of pity and "lady, you've got some serious drama." I offered him a smile that felt more like a grimace. "Just finish the job, please, Dave. The master lock and the deadbolt. And maybe bill me for hazard pay." He chuckled and went back to work. The whirring of the drill was sweet, sweet music. It was the sound of freedom. See, the screaming 25-year-old on my lawn, claiming ownership of my property, wasn't just my niece. For every single one of those 25 years, she was my daughter. My entire life. I was the one who held her when she had a fever, who taught her to ride a bike, who cried at her high school graduation. Her mother, my sister, was just the ghost who sent sporadic birthday cards with cash, the mythical creature who flitted in and out of her life whenever it was convenient. And this absolute circus on my front lawn was my reward. This was the thank you I got for sacrificing my youth, my career, and my own dreams to raise a child that wasn't mine. It's a long story, but trust me, it's worth the ride. And it all started, as these things so often do, with a boy and a stupid mistake. 25 years ago, I was 22. I had just graduated from college with a degree in graphic design and was ready to take on the world. I had a tiny apartment, a portfolio full of dreams, and a job offer from a small firm in the city. My sister, Karen, was 19. She had a high school diploma she barely earned, a string of bad news boyfriends, and a life philosophy that revolved around parties, popularity, and avoiding responsibility at all costs. Our parents were, well, they were enablers. They saw Karen as the free spirit, the beautiful, bubbly one who just needed to find herself. I was the responsible one, which is parent code for the one we don't have to worry about and can therefore take for granted. So, when Karen showed up on my doorstep one rainy Tuesday, 5 months pregnant and crying her eyes out, the family response was predictable. The father, some bartender she'd known for a week, had skipped town. Karen was hysterical, not because she was going to be a mother, but because she was going to be fat and couldn't go to Cancun for spring break. "I can't do this," she wailed, collapsing onto my cheap IKEA sofa. "My life is over." My parents rushed over, and instead of a reality check, they brought platitudes. "Oh, honey, it'll be okay. We'll figure something out." And then, all eyes turned to me. The responsible one. "You have that spare room," my mom said, gesturing vaguely. "You're so good with things like this." The next 4 months were a blur of me taking Karen to doctor's appointments, buying maternity clothes with my meager savings, and listening to her complain. The baby, she had decided, was just a temporary inconvenience. Once it was born, she was going to give it up for adoption and get back to her real life. I supported that. It seemed like the most responsible decision she'd ever made. Then Chloe was born. She was a tiny, perfect little thing. I was there in the delivery room because Karen refused to let our mom in, claiming she was too judgmental. I cut the cord. I held Chloe first. And I fell in love. Completely, utterly, head over heels in love. Karen did not. She looked at Chloe with a kind of detached curiosity, like she was a puppy in a pet store window. 2 days after they came home from the hospital and were installed in my spare room, Karen packed a bag. "I just need a break," she announced, pulling on her leather jacket. "My friend Jenny is having a party. I'll be back tomorrow." She didn't come back tomorrow. Or the next day. Her phone went straight to voicemail. A week later, a postcard arrived from Florida. "Needed to clear my head. You're a natural at this. Knew you would be. Love, Kay." And that was it. She was gone. My parents, of course, went into spin mode. "She's just overwhelmed. She's so young. She'll be back once she's had some fun." They'd come over, coo at Chloe for an hour, tell me what a saint I was, and then leave me with a screaming baby, a pile of diapers, and my shattered dreams. The graphic design job? I had to turn it down. I couldn't afford daycare, and I certainly couldn't work from home with a newborn. I got a job as a waitress, working nights so I could be with Chloe during the day. My life became a cycle of feedings, diaper changes, and exhaustion. But honestly, I was happy. That little girl was my world. Her first smile, her first word, Dee Dee, which was what she called me, her first steps, those were my treasures. A couple of years later, our parents passed away in a car accident. It was sudden and devastating. In their will, they left the family house, the very house I'm in now, to me. The lawyer said the language was very specific. It was left to me in recognition of her selfless commitment to family and for providing a stable home for her niece, Chloe. Karen got a small life insurance payout, and that was it. She didn't even come to the funeral. She sent flowers. From Italy. Apparently, she'd met a guy. So, I moved out of my cramped apartment and into my childhood home. Chloe finally had a backyard to play in. It was our sanctuary. For the first 10 years, it was just us. We were a team. I was mom, dad, and Auntie Dee Dee all rolled into one. I never dated. Who had the time? And who would want to take on a single woman raising her sister's kid? My life was Chloe. The ghost of Karen would materialize every few years. A phone call from Paris. A silk scarf mailed from Dubai. She'd married some wealthy European businessman. When Chloe was 12, Karen made her first reappearance. She swept in for a week, a whirlwind of expensive perfume and designer handbags. She was no longer Karen, she was Katerina. She took Chloe on a massive shopping spree, bought her a laptop I couldn't afford, and told her glamorous, embellished stories of her life abroad. She was the cool, rich aunt. I was the boring, practical caregiver who insisted on homework and chores. The day Karen left, Chloe cried. Why can't she stay? It's more fun when she's here. It was the first time I felt a crack in my heart. I was the one who was here, every single day. But I couldn't compete with the fantasy. The teenage years were worse. Social media became a portal for Karen's poison. She'd post pictures of yachts, 5-star hotels, and extravagant parties. She started sending Chloe money through PayPal. Suddenly, the clothes I bought from Old Navy weren't good enough. She needed the designer jeans her mother wore. We had huge fights. You don't get it, she'd scream at me. You're happy with this boring little life, but I'm meant for more. My mom says so. Her mom was filling her head with nonsense. I was the evil witch keeping her locked in a tower of mediocrity, while Queen Katerina was waiting to rescue her and whisk her away to a life of luxury. Every attempt I made to parent, to set boundaries, was met with, "I'm telling my mom you're being mean to me." And a phone call later, Karen would be on the line, her voice dripping with fake concern. You need to be easier on her. She's sensitive. You're stressing her out. I wanted to scream, where were you when she had the chickenpox? Where were you when she needed stitches after falling off her bike? Where were you for 15 years of parent-teacher conferences? But I'd just bite my tongue. For Chloe's sake. The first real bomb dropped when Chloe was 22. Karen's rich husband had apparently found a younger model, and she was back in the States, divorced, and with a hefty settlement. She didn't move in, thank God, but she bought a condo a few towns over and was suddenly a constant presence. And that's when she started talking about the house. It was subtle at first. You know, Chloe honey, this house has so many memories of your grandmother, she'd say, wistfully touching a picture frame. I'm so glad your aunt was able to, watch over it for us all these years. Watch over it. Like I was the groundskeeper. She started undermining me at every turn. I'd cook dinner and Karen would show up with takeout from a fancy restaurant. Oh, you weren't really going to eat that, were you? Let mommy treat you. She referred to rooms as if they were already Chloe's. This would make a great home office for you, sweetie, once you get rid of your aunt's old sewing machine. Chloe, who had been raised to be a sweet, if slightly spoiled, girl, was transforming. She quit her part-time job at the bookstore. My mom says I don't need to work. She's going to support me. She started treating me like staff. She'd leave dishes in the sink, her room a disaster zone. When I'd ask her to clean up, She'd roll her eyes and say, "I'll get to it. My mom and I are going to the spa." Then I met Mark. He was a contractor, a kind, steady man with warm eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. I met him when I had to get my roof repaired. For the first time since I was 22, I felt like a woman, not just a caretaker. We started dating. It was slow and it was wonderful. He was the first person in years who saw me, the person buried under all the responsibility. Karen and Chloe saw him as an invader. "Who is this guy?" Chloe demanded after Mark had come over for dinner. "Why is he always here?" "He's my partner," I said calmly. "You can't have a partner," she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "You have me. This is our house." Karen was more insidious. "I'm just worried about you," she told me over coffee, her voice oozing fake sympathy. Men can be so opportunistic. "He probably knows this is a valuable property. He's probably after the house." The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. The final straw, the thing that shattered any remaining scrap of affection I had, happened 2 weeks before Chloe's 25th birthday. I came home early from a date with Mark and the house was quiet. I walked past Chloe's room and heard her on the phone, her voice low and conspiratorial. It was Karen on speakerphone. "The lawyer said it's a long shot to contest the will now," Karen was saying. "So we have to do this the soft way. We corner her at the party. In front of everyone. We'll make her look like a monster if she says no." Okay, Chloe said, sounding excited. "So you'll make the speech about wanting to give me my birthright." "Exactly. And then I'll say that you, my darling daughter, deserve to start your adult life in your family home." And then I'll turn to her and ask her to sign the papers. There was a pause. Then I heard Chloe giggle. A nasty, cold sound. God, I can't wait to redecorate this dump. Her taste is so sad. And it'll be great to finally not have the live-in nanny watching my every move. The live-in nanny. My breath caught in my throat. I felt the floor drop out from under me. It wasn't anger, not at first. It was a cold, hollowing grief. 25 years of my life, of my love, of my sacrifice, and it all came down to that. I was the help. I backed away from the door, silent. I went into my room and shut the door. And for the first time in a very long time, I didn't think about what was best for Chloe. I thought about what was best for me. A plan began to form in my mind. A cold, clear, and perfectly precise plan. They wanted to corner me at the party? Oh, I'd give them a party they'd never forget. For the next 2 weeks, I was the perfect hostess-in-waiting. I helped Chloe plan her 25th birthday bash to be held in our backyard. I ordered a cake, sent out invitations, bought decorations. Chloe and Karen were giddy, whispering to each other, thinking their little plot was airtight. They thought I was a fool. They had no idea I was an archaeologist, digging up the fossils of my own life. I went through 25 years of bank statements, credit card bills, and receipts I'd obsessively kept in shoeboxes. Diapers, formula, baby clothes, doctor's copays, braces, prom dresses, her first car, college tuition. I spent hours with a calculator and a spreadsheet. I was building my arsenal. The day of the party was beautiful. The sun was shining. The backyard was filled with about 50 people, family friends, Chloe's friends, a few of Karen's Botoxed buddies. Mark was by my side, holding my hand. He knew everything. He was my rock. After everyone had eaten, Karen picked up a champagne flute and tapped it with a knife. "Attention, everyone. Attention." The crowd quieted down. Karen beamed, looking every inch the proud mother. "I just want to say a few words," she began, her voice thick with emotion she didn't possess. 25 years ago, I brought my beautiful baby girl, Chloe, into this world. And life is complicated. Sometimes we have to make difficult choices. I had to let her go for a while so I could find myself, but my heart was always with her. She dabbed at a non-existent tear. People were nodding sympathetically. I felt Mark squeeze my hand. But now, Karen continued, her voice rising dramatically, "Now we are reunited. And I want to give my daughter the one thing she truly deserves. A foundation. A start. Her birthright. I want to give her home." All eyes turned to me. This was it. The big moment. Karen smiled, a shark smile. My sister, she said, gesturing to me, has been a wonderful caretaker for this house and for Chloe. But now it's time for her to pass the torch. We even had the deed transfer papers drawn up to make it easy. It's the right thing to do. A heavy silence fell over the yard. People looked uncomfortable. Chloe was standing next to Karen, her chin tilted up, looking smug and triumphant. I let the silence hang for a moment. Then I let go of Mark's hand, picked up my own champagne flute, and stepped forward. "Wow," I said, my voice clear and steady. "Thank you, Karen. That was quite a speech. And you're right. It is time for a new chapter." I looked directly at Chloe. Her smile wavered a little. "You want the house, Chloe? This house that I have maintained, paid taxes on, and lived in for over 20 years? You feel you're entitled to it. It's my family home," she said, her voice getting high-pitched. "Okay," I said with a nod. "Okay, you can have it. On one condition." I walked over to a table where I'd placed a large, thick binder. I picked it up and held it out. "This," I announced, "is your bill. I've calculated the estimated cost of raising a child for 25 years. It includes food, housing, clothing, healthcare, education, and miscellaneous expenses. The grand total, adjusted for inflation, is roughly $485,320. But since you're family, I'll round it down to an even $450,000. You pay me back for my 25 years of service, and the house is all yours. Karen, since you're so eager to be a mother now, I'm sure you'll be happy to split that with her." The yard was dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop on the grass. Karen's face had gone from tan to a pasty white. Chloe's jaw was on the floor. You can't be serious," Chloe stammered. "Oh, I am dead serious," I said, my voice turning to ice. "I have every receipt. But, it's not even about the money. It's about the gratitude. Or the complete lack of it. You see, I accidentally overheard a little phone call a couple of weeks ago. You thought you were going to ambush me today. You thought I was a pushover. You thought I was just what was the phrase you used? The live-in nanny." I let those words sink in. I could see our aunts and uncles and cousins looking at Chloe and Karen in horror. "So no, Chloe," I finished, my voice ringing with 25 years of suppressed frustration. "You cannot have my house. You cannot have another cent of my money. This party is over. You have 1 week to pack your things and get out of my home." And that's when the screaming started. Chloe called me a monster. Karen called me a bitter, jealous old hag. They made a scene so ugly, so vitriolic, that their own friends started backing away in embarrassment. The party was over, all right. They thought I was bluffing. They didn't leave. They holed up in Chloe's room, ordering takeout, treating it like a siege. So I hired a lawyer and had them formally evicted. Which brings us back to my front lawn. The locksmith finished his work. The new keys felt heavy and wonderful in my hand. I walked to the edge of my porch as Chloe continued her tirade. "You're a horrible person," she shrieked. "After everything my mother and I have been through." I just looked at her. This grown woman who I had loved more than my own life. And I felt nothing. Just a profound sense of peace. "Goodbye, Chloe," I said, and walked back inside, closing and deadbolting my brand new, secure door on 25 years of my life. The aftermath was messy, but swift. I went no contact. I blocked Karen and Chloe on everything. Some family members tried to both sides the situation, but the ones who mattered, the ones who had watched me sacrifice my life for that girl, they stood by me. It's been 6 months now. Mark and I are painting the living room. It's a bright, cheerful yellow. We're making this house our own. I have my life back. I'm taking online design courses, finally chasing that dream I abandoned so long ago. I heard through the grapevine that Karen and Chloe are sharing a cramped one-bedroom apartment. Karen, it turns out, is not cut out for full-time motherhood of an adult child. And Chloe? She had to get a job. Waiting tables. The irony is delicious. So yeah, that's how I ended up evicting the daughter I raised to reclaim my own life. It was the hardest and best thing I've ever done. And if you think that's a wild family story, you should hear what my cousin tried to pull with the catering at my wedding. But hey, that's a tale for another time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you're not going to want to miss it.